Security is the basic requirement of an application. Secure coding is a broad topic and beyond the scope of one presentation. But in a more general way, we can say that it is the practice of developing APIs in such a way that it guard against the accidental introduction of security vulnerabilities. So, what is secure code? The code that is considered secure is a code that follows best practices and industry standards for protecting against potential security vulnerabilities. To some extent, it depends on the choice of the language too. And Java, as we all know, by design is considered as one of the most secure languages of our time. But still, there are some journal guidelines, or we can say best practices, to follow while writing code, about which every developer must be aware of. So, what are these common ways to secure the code? The first one is the very basic one, and that is input validation. That is verifying that all input is valid and meets the expected format and constraints. This can help prevent attacks like SQL injection and cross site scripting. The second one is exception handling, properly handling the exceptions and errors to avoid revealing sensitive information to attackers. Next is authentication and authorization, implementing secure authentication and authorization mechanisms to control access to sensitive data and resources. Another way can be cryptography, use of strong encryption algorithms and key sizes to protect sensitive data like passwords and credit card numbers. By having the proper access control mechanisms, use the principle of least privilege to ensure that code and data is only accessible to authorized users and processes. Use of libraries and frameworks that have been reviewed and are known to be secure, and be sure to keep them updated. By having the secure communication, that is, use of secure protocols like HTTPS to encrypt communication between the client and server, through proper logging and monitoring, implementing logging and monitoring to detect and respond to security incidents, by following the secure coding practices, follow good practices like avoiding the use of hard coded credentials, avoid using reflection for sensitive information, and not allowing any kind of untested code to execute. And finally, we can say by regular testing. Regularly test the code for vulnerabilities using tools like static code analyzers, dynamic code analyzers, penetration testing, fuzz testing, etc. So, these are some common ways to secure the code. And it is always important to stay up to date with the best practices, the latest trends, and the vulnerabilities.